This episode is brought to you by the new KFC Double Down. Double Down, because apparently that Triple Whopper failed to kill you.
Good evening, I'm John and... You cut that out? I want to make sure they can hear me. Everyone can hear you, unfortunately. I'm John, and of course you all know my co-anchor and unintentional abstinence role model, Gary. Hi. Well, it's April, and Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell saw fit to reintroduce the celebration of Confederate History Month, but drew criticism by failing to mention slavery. His supporters argue that he made this move because he wanted to focus on the rich history without focusing on the negative aspects, which of course is why they would also suggest ignoring 1963, since it's a year in which nothing noteworthy happened. Speaking of racial insensitivity, Palm was forced to remove an ad that featured a product with a noose around the neck of the bottle. Luckily, Palm learned from this mistake and will not be running an ad featuring matzah with a ghetto armband. That actually looks pretty tasty. Associate Justice John Paul Stevens announced his retirement after decades of serving on the Supreme Court. And who can forget his very first case, Marbury versus Madison? The ancient justice did a lot for America during his term. You forgot to fill in the gap. Read what you have. XXXX. Achievements go here, placeholder XXXX. And all the while, never let us forget that justice is not only blind, but also arthritic and incontinent. In global news, volcano... Would you like me to take it from here? Yes, please. Alrighty. Icelandic volcano Eyjafjallajökull erupted earlier this month, blocking European flights for over a week. In light of Iceland's massive financial woes, President Grimson told the European Union he would shut off the volcano in exchange for $1 million. Well, here's a pretty hot story. An honorary octopus... That's honorary. Please excuse my allegedly literate co-anchor. Continue. Right, so, off the coast of New Zealand, an octopus stole a diver's camera and ran away with it.
Hey, look, he spells as well as you do.
After a few minutes of chasing, though, the diver got the camera back, gave the octopus a ride on his spear gun, and all was well, no harm done. Wow. Videos like that make you feel alive, huh? So that's it? Yep. A man temporarily lost his camera, then got it back. And this is a news story. Bless my soul. Congress is conducting a series of hearings against Goldman Sachs executives. Senator Carl Levin asked why they sold securities which the company itself called, well, I have a personal aversion to saying dirty words, but the word they used rhymes with titty. Why would you think that? What makes you think it was me? You misspelled rhymes. How do you misspell rhymes? Did you go to college? Yes, sir. OCCC, class of '03. Sounds prestigious. Were they handing out diplomas that day, or did you bribe your professor? Maybe I seduced her. That's a good one. Anyway, as I was saying, the aforementioned word is what every news outlet is talking about, because apparently they're Metroids, latching onto everything they can find until it's sucked dry, without adding any value themselves. Claire McCaskill told Goldman CEO Lloyd Blankfein, "You had less oversight than a Las Vegas pit boss." Excuse me, madam, what makes you think you can compare these fine game room custodians to those snake oil salesmen at Goldman Sachs? Casinos only ruin lives individually. Yeah. A recent study by the Pew Internet and American Life Project found that a third of all American teens sends over 100 texts a day. In order to learn about the texting culture among teens, I interviewed a young lady from Christiansburg, VA. That is so true. I also learned about the subtle quirks of communication, like how if a girl puts a period at the end of the sentence, it means she's mad. That's interesting. They do this in order to separate themselves from adults. Wow. Technology is really something, huh? It really is. Nowadays, with just a cell phone, teenagers can send each other telegrams. Moving along, it's time for cheers and jeers. Roger Ebert invoked the ire of gamers everywhere when he stated once again, for the record, that games are not, nor can they ever be art, which is why I would like to give a huge cheers to Roger for thinking that he has the right to define what art is. Isn't that cute? Of course, it wasn't just gamers who were offended at this, but also dancers, as dance is a goal-oriented art form, as well as authors of choose-your-own-adventure books, and artists who paint abstract paintings, which are interactive in that they engage the viewer by forcing him to ask, "What am I looking at? Is that spaghetti? The Afghan PowerPoint slide? The visceral discharge of an angry sea cucumber? Yeah, that's gotta be it." Ebert posed the question, do we as their consumers become more or less complex, thoughtful, witty, empathetic, intelligent, philosophical, and so on by experiencing them? Ooh, that's a lot of games. I feel boxed in. Here we go. Sure, I could point out the irony of Ebert bashing games as supposedly not being enriching when his own medium is filled with films that are demeaning, dumbed down, unoriginal, having black and white moral dilemmas, style over substance, stereotypical one-dimensional characters, paper-thin plot lines, insultingly stupid movie physics, and Avatar, which is all of those things put together, but that would be a zero-sum game, so I'll let it lie. Cheers, Roger, for having the bravery to use your position as a widely respected movie critic to propagate prejudice against another artistic medium. And cheers to the creators of South Park. Gary? South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker have shown that they are willing to sacrifice what few values they have in order to stay safe. After receiving death threats, the dastardly duo deigned to censor an episode which featured the Prophet Muhammad in a bear costume. That's bear costume. You didn't even run a spell check. Look, about this. Just a second, Now, they have no problem offending people, except when they feel threatened. Then it's hush hush. 30 seconds of dialogue towards the end of the episode was bleeped out. Kind of ironic since it was about fear and intimidation. Just by caving into the threats, these two unscrupulous fellows have shown that they would rather be alive than free. Imagine if our founding fathers had thought that way. UK,
Gary.
UK. Gary. What? They didn't want the dialogue to be bleeped. No, that was Comedy Central's decision. Did you check your sources at all? By sources, do you mean Yahoo Answers? Put me out of my misery. In his new TV series, Stephen Hawking said that aliens coming to Earth might be a bad idea because they might try to drain our resources. You know, this makes perfect sense when you think about it. Imagine, if you will, an advanced alien bug species coming to Earth to trash our planet. What would become of us if these evil ants tried to crush us between their horrible pincers? Oh, the horror of it all. Well, I for one welcome our insect overlords. But until then, see you next time, everybody. Good night, and screw it, journalism is dead. Goodbye, everybody.